You are listening to episode number 277 of Better Blood Sugars with Delane MD. Hey there, and welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you are taking some time for you and for your health today. I almost forgot the episode number, which is hilarious because I've looked no less than 7 times today. I hope you are doing fabulous today. I hope you're having a great week. I hope that you are getting excited about the holiday season. I know I am. So today I want to talk about a number of things. I want to talk about why this work is so important for women. A lot of times, and I've been talking with my clients about this in the groups, that, there's this, the question that comes from them is, why can't I get this figured out? And why is something as simple as the food, the thing that's eating at me and that's causing me to have such fits and problems? Why do I have to put so much energy into this? And I have been working through this with them with coaching, but what I have come down to is the realization of what's at the foundation of this. So women come to me and they're successful. Again, I talk about this on a regular basis. You're successful in 100 other areas of your life. Professionally, you've nailed it. You're a great mom. You're a great spouse. You're a great family member to aging parents or aging family members. You're a great sibling. You are a wonderful friend. You're reliable. You're all of these amazing things. But for whatever reason, you are unable to stop eating foods that are making you sick. You know that that food is at the heart of all of your health issues, your diabetes. You likely have extra weight on your body that you would like to lose. You feel out of control, maybe. All of these things are nagging at you. The worry about health, the worry about the weight, the worry about not being in control. When is the, other shoe going to finally drop? When is this going to really fall apart for me? And you don't like that. You're successful in all of these other areas, but this area seems to be really tripping you up and you can't seem to get the success that you've achieved in other areas of your life applied to this area. And so I help women with this. This is what the women who come to me come with. They come with these exact issues. I help them figure out how the foods that they're eating is impacting their health, is the root cause of the health that they are experiencing. And it's usually not being as healthy as they would like to be. They're having some underlying health issues that concern them. They know the foods at the root cause. I help you figure out what foods, which foods, and how to do it differently. I help you figure out how to normalize your insulin resistance, right? Like, it's not about your blood sugars. Yes, on some level, it is about your blood sugars, but do recognize the root cause of your high blood sugars is insulin resistance. The root cause of too much weight on your body is insulin resistance. These are the things you have to focus on, that root cause, if you're ever going to fix this long term. And this is what I help women do. I help women learn how to eat in a way that matches their biology. I help them learn how to move their bodies and manage exercise in a way that matches their biology. I help them learn to sleep in a way that matches their biology. Knowing good and well, what I know is that I'm not I am a scientist, but I'm not a researcher. I don't do research, but somebody who does do research can induce insulin resistance only by changing the sleeping habits of that human being. You can hold the diet the same. You can hold the exercise the same. You can just change the sleeping amount, the quality and amount of sleep that a human gets, and you can induce insulin resistance with that. Okay. So I help women figure out the food, the exercise, the sleep. And lastly, I help them see where stress is playing a role in their insulin resistance. And I teach strategies for managing that. That is what I help women do. I help you put together a plan. The basics of that plan is the 14 days to better blood sugars. This is a great place to start. If you're not sure what to eat, if you're not sure how you should be eating, go to my website, DelaneMD.com/better, BETTER, and download the 14 days to better blood sugars guide. This is a great place to start. If you haven't already done it, go do it. This is the start of getting the health that you want. And today I want to talk about why you want that health, right? Again, women they will tell me I've spent so much time, decades of my life, so much money trying to fix this one aspect of my life. And they can't figure out why they're struggling with it. And what I have come to, what I have started explaining to my clients is this is what's taught in psychology. Maslow's hierarchy is what we are all taught in Psychology 101, right? I'm not a psychologist. I do not have any degree or advanced degrees in psychology, but Maslow's hierarchy it's a stepwise pattern it's basically a triangle where the base of that triangle is the things that we have to address initially. And then you work up your way on the triangle to being, super creative, being, focused on experience and purpose and inner potential and meaning and all of these things. It's self-actualization is what they call it on the hierarchy. But at the base, that's a tip of it. That's a tip of the triangle. At the base is physiologic needs, and then safety and security, and then loving and belonging within relationships, and then having self-esteem. And then you can work on self-actualization. And it's not that you can't work on self-esteem or self-actualization if you don't have some of these basic physiologic needs. We all see examples of people who did not have maybe they were unemployed or maybe they were homeless, and they were still able to build self-esteem and self-actualize, like have this meaning and purpose and potential and inner, peace. They were able to create that despite not having all of those base layers of Maslow's hierarchy entirely met. But understand, physiologic needs are going to be breathing, food, water, sleep, clothing, shelter. Until these are met, you cannot work on the higher levels. Like, you're always going to seek to have those basic foundational needs met first. And what is a part of that? One, food is a part of that. Like, how do I eat in a way that keeps me healthy? That is a question of food. And that is at that very foundational base of Maslow's hierarchy. So why women get stuck in, what do I do? How do I manage my food? How do I eat? They get ruminating almost, and they can't figure it out. And the reason they continue to struggle with it is because it's at this base of the needs that human beings have before we can move on. Our society, the Western society, is really focused on the love and belonging. Like, how do we create relationships? On the self-esteem? How do we have achievement? How do we become unique? And then, of course, our self-actualization, right? Like, how do we have meaning and purpose? Our society is very focused on those things. We all believe we should be in that realm. But the fact is, unless these foundational levels are dealt with, it's really hard for you to invest your time and energy and mental resources into those if those foundational things aren't met. On top of the physiologic need of breathing and food and water and shelter and clothing and sleep is then safety and security. And what's involved with safety and security is health. So if the food that you are eating is creating health that is not health, but it's disease, if the food that you're eating is not ensuring the health that you're wanting, you are not going to have those basic foundational needs met so that you can then move on and deal with love and belonging and self-esteem and self-actualization. You're not going to move on beyond that. You are going to focus, and you're going to feel unstable and like there's something that you still need to do until those things are met. And that, my friend, is why women become so focused, so consumed with fixing this health problem. They understand that they need to have this fixed before they can enjoy all of those other things, the relationships, the self-esteem, like the achievement, the respect of others. How do I express myself as an individual? All of those things are going to feel unsteady if you have not addressed these lower needs on Maslow's hierarchy. And recognizing that you are going to be more compelled to avoid losing something. And why we're more compelled to avoid losing something is really because of this hierarchy, this Maslow's hierarchy. You do not want to lose years of your life. And on some level, that's why you feel so insecure, right? That first level is physiologic needs, the breathing, the food, the water, the shelter. The second level of Maslow's hierarchy is safety and security. And you understand that if this disease is present, that security is shaken. You are not securely, you do not know that tomorrow is guaranteed because you understand that there's a risk associated with having diabetes and having insulin resistance. There are health risks. There are cardiovascular risks, there are cerebrovascular risks, there's risk to our eyesight, to our limbs, like people get sores, they get wounds that won't heal, and they have to amputate toes and feet. We all know that there is a risk to the security of our health. It's not guaranteed as long as we're sick with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. We want to avoid that. We want to avoid the loss of life, the loss of years, the loss of quality of life. And in addition, we want to avoid the loss of finances. You don't want to pay your money. You work really hard for the things that you earn, and you don't want to pay it to drugs that have side effects that then you got to pay other meds. You've got to buy other meds to treat the side effects. You don't want that. And you understand that. And this is usually what drives people to fix their type 2 diabetes. So you recognize, and if you don't recognize, Lord, if you have gotten to this podcast and you haven't heard me say this, understand that studies show that 9 out of 10 Americans have insulin resistance. That study has been done twice. It's been replicated. And this is something that has been shown consistently, that 9 out of 10 Americans have insulin resistance when we look at all of the labs that evaluate metabolic health. When I talk about insulin resistance, I'm talking about diabetes or prediabetes. If you have insulin resistance, you are on the path to type 2 diabetes. If you have metabolic disease, you are on the path to type 2 diabetes. These words are interchangeable, whether it be insulin resistance, metabolic disease, or diabetes. That is all the same type of disease. And the fix for it is all the same. You understand that there's a risk associated with this. And I want you to understand, you don't need me to encourage you to decrease that risk. You don't want to be at risk of the outcomes that come along with having diabetes, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, insulin resistance, metabolic disease. Pick whichever phrase you want to use. You want to learn how to live your life in a way that matches your biology so that you can avoid the outcomes of insulin resistance and you can avoid becoming insulin resistance. You don't want to simply treat it later when it shows up with medications. Again, you don't want to trade the money. You don't want to spend the money that you have earned on these meds, on healthcare. You were planning on spending that on doing something fun. If you're already insulin resistant and on meds, understand that that's fixable. You don't need to be like that for the rest of your life. You don't need to live that way for the rest of your life. Insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes is an effect of the food that we eat in almost all of the cases. So what that means is if you change the food you eat, you can change your health. This is the most powerful way to change your health. Recognizing that, people will talk about diabetes being, it runs in my family. No, diabetes is not something you get from your genes. What runs in your family is my love. This is always mine. My love for apple pie and pizza. That's what I got from my family. The way that you eat, that's what you get from your family. If the way that your family eats caused diabetes in your grandparents and your parents, you can damn sure bet it's going to cause diabetes in you also. This is an element of how we eat. When you change the way you eat, you can change your health. When you learn to match your food and the way you live your life to your biology, suddenly you live in alignment with that biology and your health is there. You achieve the health that you're looking for. That is what I teach people. That's what I teach women. This is what my program will help you learn. How do I live in alignment with my biology? So if you're ready for that, certainly you can set up a better blood sugars assessment call. That is the first step in this. Recognizing that the first step is to set this call up so I can talk about, like, you and I will sit down. It'll be a Zoom call. It's like 30, 45 minutes. We go over your labs, your fasting blood sugars, your meds. We go over all that stuff and see what's possible for you. I will give you a very honest assessment of what's possible. I frequently will tell women, you need to do this one thing and that's it. I think you're going to see all the changes you need. I don't think my program's right for you. I will happily tell you that. But if you're like, I really want this and I believe that it is possible for me, I can help you decipher what to expect. Where is the biggest bang for your buck? How long can you expect it's going to take? What help is available to you? I can help you with that. And that is going to be done on a better blood sugar assessment call. And you can schedule that. So you can go to calendly.com. That's calendly.com /DelaneMD, DELANEMD /better-blood-sugars. Okay. Go and schedule that. You get access to my calendar there. You can schedule it and we will spend 45 minutes looking at your numbers and getting you a plan. If my program's right for you, awesome. If not, I'll give you some helpful resources to go on and achieve the health that you're looking for. And remember, you're avoiding those health outcomes that you don't want, the cardiovascular, you don't want a heart attack, you don't want a stroke. And remember, ladies, once you have a heart attack and you've damaged your heart muscle, we can't undo that. Once you've had a stroke and the left side of your body doesn't work, we've lost the opportunity to fix that. Your opportunity to fix this is right now. Now, if you've had a heart attack or you've had a stroke, certainly we can keep you from having another one. But understand, if you're on the fence about whether to take this leap, about whether to do this work, now is your time before those things have happened. You can still go back and get back to being healthy without any evidence of this. I was in that boat. I was insulin resistant. I had a pre-diabetes. I was gestationally diabetic. I was there. And I was doing a lot of physical activity and I was not overweight. This is not about overweightness. And you can't run from a bad diet. This is about the food that we're putting in our body and it doesn't match our biology. And I can help you learn how to do that differently. There's benefits to your quality of life, to feeling better. There's benefits to where you spend your money. Like, take the time to give yourself that gift. Okay. Set up that call, calendly.com /DelaneMD /better-blood-sugars. If you need to get a hold of me directly, you can always email me, Delane@DelaneMD.com, and we will get you on my schedule. I want to give you a warning. If you have been medicated for your type 2 diabetes, please be careful as you make these changes, the dietary changes that I recommend. If you're using the 14 days to better blood sugar guide, same thing. It's a very powerful guide, and you need to be very careful as you make dietary changes. Recognize if you are medicated for your type 2 diabetes, you have been medicated because of the way you've eaten in the past. If you change the way you eat, you're going to need to change your medications as well. If you don't, you can get very sick, the kind of sickness that looks like hospitalizations and possibly even death. And that is not why you are doing these things. So you need to get a line of communication open with your medical provider who gave you those meds. You need to figure out how they want you to share your blood sugar logs with them, and then how you can expect to hear back from them how to change your meds, what meds you need to make adjustments to. If you don't do this, you can get quite sick. So I need you to call your provider and make sure that you're setting up that line of communication. If you have found this podcast helpful, please rate and review the podcast. Again, 9 out of 10 Americans have insulin resistance. They are on the path to type 2 diabetes. More people need to hear that they do not need to be sick and tied to the healthcare industry for the rest of their life. The more people that rate and review this podcast, the more people the podcast gets put in front of. So the more people the podcast players will show this podcast to. Please rate and review the podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at DelaneMD. And again, if you haven't already done it, go and download the 14 Days to Better Blood Sugar Guide. There is help for you today, right now, for you to start making changes to your health. You can find that guide at www.delanemd.com/better. I will be back next week. I will talk to you then. Until then, keep listening, keep avoiding the foods that are making you sick, and keep making choices for your longevity, your health, and your vitality.